Hello, welcome. My
All
name
right.
is Laurie Larson Caesar, and I serve as Bishop of the Oregon Synod. And I'm really delighted to introduce to you one of our newest priests, pastors in our synod, Pastor Joann Dickson. She serves the ecumenical community of hopeful saints in Heppner. And I promised her we're just going to have a conversation. So, Joann, how do you like to be referred to? Because I know in the Episcopal Church you have some options. And then who is Joann Dickson?
Well, I like to be called Joann or Pastor Joann,
Okay,
however is
that's
comfortable for the people.
that's easy.
Um, let's see. I was born in Southern California, and I was raised primarily Methodist, very conservative Methodist. Okay, but as an adult, when I left home, I became a Lutheran because I'd been introduced to it, and I loved it. It was Missouri Synod, though. So at the time, I had felt that I would really love to be a pastor. I wanted to be a pastor, but I was told, of course, that I couldn't because I was a girl.
Yep.
And so I accepted that, but nevertheless, I enjoyed the Lutheran Church very much. And I was married in the Lutheran Church. Uh, my children I have 4 children. They were all baptized Lutherans. But then we moved to a town, and I joined the Lutheran Church as soon as I got there. But after a while, it folded. So then I needed to find another church home, and I want to tell you that when it was in the process of folding, I cried. I was
Mm.
so sad, um, and I mean, there wasn't another Lutheran option in that town. So through the years, I actually didn't even know there was an Episcopal church there, but I was also not familiar with the Episcopal church. I
Right.
was more familiar with more the fundamentalists. That was my childhood background. And so through the years living in that town, and that was in Lakeview. I guess I skipped that part. I had moved to Bend, Oregon um, after high school, and I so uh, then then what 15 years later we moved to Lakeview, which is at the bottom of the state in Oregon, about 14 miles from the California border. Anyway, there was not another Lutheran church there, so I kind of tried to find my way into what was available. And in the meantime, my children are growing up. And so when my children were all grown, uh, I um, I gave the Episcopal Church a try because it was
Mm.
a liturgical church, and
Mm.
so it seemed somewhat familiar to me. Um, and they actually would allow me to be a um, a clergy person, and by then I had made my peace with all the reasons that I was told I couldn't be when I was a fundamentalist. And so I thought that was absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
So I had graduated from college a long time before that, and then so then I was looking for a seminary. Actually, when I spoke with our Bishop Bell, and told him that I was, and he said he said, well, why don't you go to High Desert um, School of Ministry, which is a satellite program from Seminary of the Southwest in Austin, Texas. And I wasn't aware of it, so I did that. And before that, I moved to La Grande, because I moved to LeGrand because I have my 3 grandchildren there, and I only got to see
Yeah.
them like about 2 or 3 times a year. So I wanted to see them more often before they grew up, and so I moved there. And so then I went through the seminary program through High Desert and
And what was that
became.
like for you? What was the seminary experience like?
Um, I really was expecting something a lot more academic. I guess I
Mm.
forgot to mention that before that. I I I um I kind of came upon the spiritual direction, and I went through spiritual direction uh, education through um, Aquinas Institute of Theology in St. Louis. So
Mm.
I spent 2 years with that program, and then I went into their seminary program. And the program through St. Aquinas was rather rigorous. It was very academic. It's
Mm.
Dominican. It
Yep.
was very, very scholastic. And so I anticipated seminary being a lot more scholastic than it was for my taste. I'm very
Yep.
much of a student, and
Yes.
so having said that, I think that my years in the church and my desire to learn, I began reading C.S. Lewis, not I mean his um, philosophy and theology when I was in high school. And
Mm.
so um, I think my own personal education helped me and added a lot to I was able to bring a lot to my seminary experience. And so I was very grateful for that. And
Mhm.
I still have the heart of a student, so I really enjoy learning still.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was living in LeGrand, and by then I retired, and so I was just doing some substitute teaching and assisting in the school districts there, and when the call from um, Hopeful Saints in Heppner came up, and
Mhm.
that's how I got here.
And can you share with the group what you shared with me about timing, God's timing,
Oh,
and
oh, I'd love to. I
yeah.
love the story. um, well, my first Sunday here. I'm at the church right now. My first Sunday here was September 15th, on my first service, and I stood up and was doing the announcement part, and I said I commended the church on how well that they carried on in the 2 years that without clergy, and how well they kept up all their programs, and of course the church building and everything. They did such an amazing
Yeah.
job, and I really wanted them to commend them for that. And then I said, and I have been waiting for you for 50 years.
Mm.
so so I feel like it's been amazing, like I said, an amazing unfolding for me to be here and to see and to look back in retrospect, being old enough to be able to do that, to see how God had been preparing me in so many ways all my life through all kinds of education to be where I am, to the point where I I just have had and continue to have, after 6 months, just a very calm sense of being right where I should be.
Mhm. It
And
sounds that way to me too.
I feel so privileged to be able and to come to a place where I finally get to do what I thought I was called to do a very long time ago.
Yes. And I expect that you are using that spiritual direction preparation all the time, whether it's called spiritual direction or not. Are you finding opportunities to use that?
I use it all the time. I loved my experience with Aquinas, and it's been very, very useful. And yeah, mostly just the most important thing about spiritual direction is they just listening to people, listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that you're formed by Catholics and Lutherans and Episcopalians to serve this Lutheran Episcopalian church. It's really quite beautiful. What are you discovering about Heppner as a town? I love it. It's in farm country. It's far away from other cities.
Yeah.
So what is it like to upend your life, leave LeGrand, enter the parsonage and Heppner and discover a new place? What are you
Well,
enjoying? You know.
Well, when I moved from Southern California, I moved to Bend, and I wanted to. And Bend was,
Mhm.
back when I moved there, it only had one stoplight.
Bend did?
Bend had one stoplight when I
My
moved there.
goodness. Wow.
And I loved it then. I loved it then.
Mm.
And then we moved to Lakeview, and Lakeview is a ranching community out. I mean, it's actually, in a sense, farther away from other things than Heppner is.
Mm.
It would be 90 miles to a town with a sizable grocery store. Where there it would, here it's only 45 miles. But when I first came to Heppner, I was so just driving through it. I was so impressed, having lived in another smaller town, how vibrant it looked and
Mm.
how it just had this appearance of the people in the community really caring for their community.
Yeah.
And I still, after being here, that I still have that sense of that it is a vibrant place. And so I enjoy it, and I appreciate the quiet. I
Mm.
really appreciate the quiet. It's
Yeah.
lovely. It's lovely. And the people have been so welcoming and just made me feel right at home.
Oh,
And
that's so good to hear.
yeah, it's been just it's almost a dream.
Mm.
Almost like a
Oh, I'm
dream.
so glad you're there. And you'll
Me
be
too.
joining us at Synod Assembly in a few
Mhm.
weeks. So you'll get to meet more of the Oregon Synod and bringing two voting members, which I'm delighted about too. So they'll introduce you to some of the ways and weirdness of the ELCA. So I'm grateful for that. Do you
Mhm.
get to see your grandchildren? Now they're farther away.
Well, now my oldest grandchild, I only have three. My oldest grandchild is 21.
Uh,
And the second one is 19. So I got to see them through high school,
yep.
I and that, and we're still very strongly connected. And then my youngest is she's 10 right now. So she's still in school, but
Mhm.
LeGrand is only 2 hours away. And
Yeah.
when living in Lakeview, we always said you have to drive 6 hours to be anywhere. So driving two
Wow.
hours is not a big deal.
That's nothing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So
Well, delightful.
mhm.
And any other kind of interesting hobbies or things we could know about you if we want to know Joann Dickson in her fullness?
Besides it, my love for theology and philosophy, my degree was in philosophy and English, so I love those things.
Mm,
But
yes.
I love theater. I
Oh,
ran a I ran a theater department where in Lake County where for the schools for 10 years. So I directed, I don't know, about 30 plays.
My
So
goodness.
I love that. And
Wow.
as a matter of fact, they have a theater department here, and I just got the phone number for the woman who does that. So I'm very interested in that. So I like to go back. That's one thing. Of course, has LeGrand has a college, Eastern Oregon University. I graduated from there, and so they have plays and symphonies and concerts, which I loved. And so every once in a while, I get to go back to there. I'm discovering the different areas around me, around like
Yes.
Pendleton, theater and concerts and stuff. So I'm very interested in that. And I love cultural events.
Mm,
Oh, so
the,
that's a
that's
love
so
of my life.
great. That's so great. Having lived in Pendleton for almost 3 years, the people in Heppner, the more they get to know you, the more they're going to be excited by all these pieces of you and your history. I have a feeling.
Oh, good.
I just have a sneaking suspicion. Well, and we're looking forward to getting to know you too. So thank you for showing up in this
Thank you.
interview. Thank you for showing up at assembly. Hope you'll come to our bishop's convocation when we all gather as clergy on the coast in the fall. So yeah, more opportunities to connect.
Oh, I would love that. Thank you so
Awesome.
much. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joann.
Mhm.